Ein Elohim Kimo Yahovah, Ele Hagadol Yehovah, Oche Rache Barim Yom Yehov Yisrael Amen. Ein Elohim Kimo Yahovah, Ele Hagadol Yehovah, Oche Rache Barim Yom Yehov Yisrael Amen. In English. There is no God like Yahovah, great King of the universe, always doing wondrous things. Let all Israel say amen. There is no God like Yahovah, the great King of the universe, always doing wondrous things. Let all Israel say amen. Again. Praise Yah. Yahovah Unata. Yahovah Unata. Praise Yah. Praise Yah. Yeah. In the morning, when I wake up, I give thanks to Yah. You, oh Yah, I will give my praise. I know that my Yah lives. He lives within me. He lives within you. So what you gonna do? Everybody sing it. Yah Kai, Yah Kai, my Yah lives in me. Yah Kai, Yah Kai, my Yah lives in me. In the morning, when I wake up, I give thanks to Yah. You, oh Yah, I will give my praise. I know that my Yah lives. He lives within me. He lives within you. So what you gonna do? All my people sing it. Yah Kai, Yah Kai, my Yah lives in me. Yah Kai, Yah Kai, my Yah lives in me. Yahovah,
The heavens declare it, the glory is thine, the earth in its beauty shows honor divine. Our Yah, the Creator of everything, to thee we lift up our voices, sing of the might of the God, God of Abraham. It's our God, the God of Israel. He maketh mountains rise, and calm. All thy wondering word we will learn. And when we do forward, we'll cry unto thee. Oh Lord, when thou hearest, thy mercies will see. Thou sendest thine angels to show us the way. To thee we our praises raise. We praise, sing of the might of the God, God of Abraham. Is our God, the God of Israel.
darkness light. Whoa, and come. Of thy wondrous word we'll tell. Hallelujah, 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 be seated. Thank you the Most High God for life once again. Thanking Yahuwah for the life of CHOKMAH Yisrael, wherever we might be. Thanking the Most High God for understanding and for wisdom, for knowledge. And I'm grateful to this great King for us being the people that we are. When we get caught up in so many things, and when you see life and you see the unfairness sometimes, or the things that people do, you sit back and you say to yourself, how in the hell do people live with themselves? I was looking and a story came out this week about, did y'all read the story about the allegations where all these parents had these schemes set up with sending their children to college, and I mean, these are people that were already rich, and they were rigging the system in order for their children to get into these prestigious universities. Now, they complained about, what do you call that? Affirmative action. And they went crazy about that. But these nuts, and you got to call them nuts, they was rigging the system so that their children could go to these prestigious schools, and their children didn't make the grade. They weren't good with their SATs. They weren't good with their ACT. But they paid enough money to get their children into these prestigious places so that their children can have that title next to their diploma, right? So, and I've always said this, I said, why do they give people scholarships to go play tennis? Why do they give people scholarships to go play golf? Like, those things don't bring in money to the sports departments and universities. You know what bring in money? Basketball, football. Those are the two sports that basically keeps a whole university going. Because the money that the revenue that they create is to take care of the entire school. So they take it, football and basketball are basically taking care of all the other sports and the entire school with these big universities. So, and you know who predominantly plays basketball and football? Us. So you got these kids, these privileged kids that their parents have money, but because they weren't smart enough to get into these universities, the parents rig up the system. We'll just rig the system up and we'll put them in there hook or crook. Money talks. Sailing team. I didn't even know they gave you a scholarship for a sailing team. A sailing team? Tennis, lacrosse. I'm like, how they get scholarships for all these? But now it makes sense. You set up the system to help you. So when we say racism it's a construct, it's not whether I like you or not, right? That's bigotry, right? But the racism is a system that's set up to help the people that's in power stay in power. We don't get opportunities like that. They could pay $500,000 and they pay off the teacher that's going to recruit them, or the sports director that's going to recruit them. They pay off enough money to pay off the person who they go take their SAT at, so that if they get a low score, they could adjust their score. They could give them the answers to the score. But yet there was a black girl in Florida who, she scored a 900 in her SATs, right? And you know you could take the SAT 2, 3, or 4 times, right? She went back and took it. She studied a little bit harder. She went back and took it. She got about a 1230, and they told her that that was a false score, that they wasn't going to accept that. She had to cheat. That's what they told her. You got to take it again. But yet they circumvent the system to put their children in the university. So they set up the system, they set up the rules, and they do what they want to do. Aunt Becky from Full House got caught up in that, man. Darn, Becky, I thought you was better than that. But, you know, it's unfortunate, but you see it. And you know that it's happening. And you know that people pay off people in order to be in positions of power. How is it that the fire department and the police department is ran by Irish and Italians? And and other people don't take the test? You know, how is it that the Iron Workers Union is mostly Irish and Italian? How is it that the heating and air conditioning unions is mostly ran by Irish and Italians? You got to ask yourself, they put themselves in positions to succeed. And they pay and they do things and they circumvent exams that the city says you have to take to be qualified to do certain things, and they do it. That's racism. When you could set up the system in order for it to benefit you. So these are the things that we face. These are the things that our children have to face. But the solution to all that is for us to create our own way. Like my brother Moray Aranya did. Like people like Chief Azaria, they could go out and make money on their own. They don't need anyone. They don't need anyone to tell them when they can make money. They can make money wherever they want to. My brother Itamar and his brothers down in Georgia. That's what we got to get into, because we've been working for these people for too long. And we've been giving them our hard effort, and we don't get paid what we deserve. Think about it. Do you really feel like you get paid what you deserve at your job? You're always like, no, this is not cutting it. This is not cutting it. Everybody said, no, I don't. But this is the world that we live in. And this is what's happening. We're going to open up, we're going to begin once again with the book of Proverbs. Start back and try to get through it this time, because the last time we didn't get through it. So hopefully we could get through the book of Proverbs this time. We're going to start in the book of Proverbs chapter 1. Mauser, give me my glasses. So Proverbs are basically set up as instructions. King Solomon wrote the Proverbs, but a lot of what we see in Proverbs is basically instructions that his father Melech Dawi was giving him. They said the apple don't fall too far from the tree, right? So if Solomon is a wise and understanding person, obviously he got that from somewhere. And that somewhere had to have been his father, Melech Dawi, and his mother, perhaps his mother, Bathsheba, right? But that understanding came from somewhere, right? And he was the wisest man that ever lived. He was attributed with the title as the wisest man that ever lived. So Melech, Shalomo, what he did is he influenced, let me make sure I got my notes here ready. All right. He influenced a lot of people in that time, and he brought up the standard of the nation of Israel. The nation of Israel had to be brought up to a certain standard because of what his father, Melech Dawi, left for him to build for the nation. So that was a blessing in itself. Solomon, as we know, he indulged in too many women. He built houses of worship to his Nashim, to strange gods, and that caused the kingdom to be split, right? At the point, it wasn't done in Solomon's time, but when his son came, this kingdom was split to a northern kingdom and a southern kingdom, the southern kingdom being the kingdom of Judah. So this is the same Solomon that we're speaking about. Let's see if we could get through these chapters. I'm not sure we are, but let's go. Proverbs.
We're in the book of Proverbs, chapter 1, verse 1. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Yisrael. To know wisdom and instruction, to comprehend the words of understanding, to receive the discipline of wisdom, justice, and right and equity, to give prudence to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion, that the wise man may hear and increase in learning, and the man of understanding may attain unto wise counsels.
The man, it says, to know wisdom and instruction, to comprehend the words of understanding, to receive the discipline of wisdom, justice, right, and equity, to give prudence to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion, that the wise man may hear and increase in learning, and the man of understanding may attain unto wise counsels. Now, everybody know the artist Tekashi 6ix9ine, right? Y'all know who Tekashi is, right? He got the big 6ix9ine on his face, rainbow head kid. So and you're going to say, how you linking Tekashi to the Proverbs of Solomon? Now here it is. It says that the wise man may hear and increase in learning, and the man of understanding may attain unto wise counsels, right? It says to give prudence to the simple, and the young man knowledge and discretion. So he decided that he wanted to play tough. You know, he wasn't a tough kid, but he got involved with these guys, these gang members, and they were his protection. And they were at his beck and call. Go do this, they'll do it. Go do that, they'll do it. So in the midst of doing all of these things, the feds started investigating him. You doing shootouts at the Barclays Center, you robbing people, people getting shot in your presence, and you're right there. Now, understanding don't tell you this is the money cow. If we're going to do some dirt, we're not going to do it around him because that's going to interrupt our money. They said, no, he's going to be involved, and he wanted to be involved in these things. So what happened? The feds pick him up, told him, yeah, you know them people that you're working with, you hanging with, you need to stop this, you need to stop that. You have a successful career, and you didn't listen. When the feds came down, now you're sitting in a federal prison in Brooklyn, and now you're singing like a bird. Now you're telling them where everything is at, where it happened, what time it happened, how it happened, who was there. And these are people you sent out to do things. So you don't want to be like that person. So the best thing to do is to listen to the instructions that you get off this misbeat, so that you don't follow that track. You see, I talk to the children. You know why? Because y'all like Tekashi. Y'all like Migos. Talk it, like it, walk it. Walk it, like it, talk it. Right? You like it. Listen, we were young. We listened to NW. Although our teachers are telling us, you shouldn't be listening to NWA. You shouldn't be listening to Snoop Doggy Dogg. We was listening to that stuff. So we could tell y'all, don't listen to Migos. Don't listen to Tekashi. Don't listen to Trippie Redd. Don't listen to Tentacion. Don't listen to all these guys, and you're going to still listen to them. You're going to listen to Nicki Minaj. You're going to listen to Cardi B. You're going to listen to them. But what we're trying to show you is this. What we're trying to make you understand is this. What they're telling you is not more important than this. The discretion and the knowledge that you're going to get from this is going to save your life. You think if Daniel Hernandez, a.k.a. Tekashi 6ix9ine, got a whiff of this and he would have understood it, you think he'd be locked up? So you have to find yourself. We're living in a world, in a concrete jungle, where a lot of things happen. Things go left, go right. But you have to put yourself in a frame of mind where you're going to protect yourself from all the things that are surrounding you. Because you have to survive. We're not telling you to be a hermit. We're not telling you to do any of those things. But what we are telling you is to have discretion. And you know what discretion is? Discretion is the ability to make the right decisions at the time that you need to make them. So if you have discretion, you will know what you say y'all gonna do. I'll take I'm going to skip that one. I'll see y'all tomorrow. You might not see them tomorrow because what they went to do, they might have not came back from that mission. Let us go.
Verse 6. To understand the proverb and the figure, the words of the wise and their dark sayings.
To understand a proverb and a what?
And the figure.
Right.
The words of the wise and their dark sayings.
The words of the wise and their dark sayings. This thing is supposed to be like facial detection. They ain't detecting my face. Here it goes. To understand a proverb. So we heard proverbs like a hard head makes a what?
Soft behind.
Soft behind. So what does that mean? What does a hard head makes a soft behind mean?
It means that when you don't listen, like my BINAH told me it in another way. Like your mouth runs a bill that your behind can't pay.
Right. All right.
And you talking, and then you say, and then apparently you get to a word which you're not supposed to say, and then you keep on talking until.
That's another one. Your mouth writes a check that your behind can't catch, right? You keep running your mouth. That means you keep running your mouth, or you act like you're tough, right? And then somebody tests all that talk that you're doing. You gotta be able to cash that check. Meaning you gotta be able to put these up and defend yourself. If you're gonna do all that talking. But what that means when it says a hard head makes a soft behind, it means that if you don't like listening, right? If you don't like listening, that you're going to get a lot of bumps and bruises along the way. That's what that means. Growing up, I heard things like in Spanish, árbol que nace torcido jamás su tronco endereza. So what that means is, Shivani, you know what that means? Árbol que nace torcido, jamás su tronco endereza. So that means a tree that's born bent, right, or crooked, will never straighten out. You don't want to be labeled a tree that's born crooked or twisted, because people are going to say, that boy been like that all his life. He ain't never going to change. You never want to be labeled that. It says a righteous man falleth 7 times, but he gets back up. These are things that you have to take, and these are things that will help you in your life. These are the sayings in the Proverbs, right? From the Caribbean, people tell you things like, boy, if you make your bed, you have to lie in it. You know what that means? When you make your bed, you got to lie in it? Anybody can tell me what that means. You make your bed, you got to lie in it. Any one of you. You make your bed, you got to lie in it. Moshe, you make your bed, you got to lie in it. What that means? You got to deal with the consequences. So the things that you do, don't, because you got parents that go like this. Listen, boy, let me tell you this. You got parents that sit you down and tell you this. Listen here, boy. Listen here, girl. Let me tell you this. You see that money I work for? It's for me and my wife so we could retire, not to pay all your court bills, not to pay everything, to go bail you out and stuff like that. So when you get yourself into trouble, right? When you get yourself into trouble, think very well about what you're doing, because I'm not coming to get you. You can forget about me sending you packages, because this is not what I put you on this earth to do. So when you make your bed, the path that you're walking in, you got to lie in it. You have to accept the consequences that come with it. These are the teachings that we're giving you so that you will be conscious and you understand there's a lot of temptations in the world. There's a lot of things that reach out to you that tell you, come. They look enticing. And guess what? Sometimes you take hold of them. But is it right for you to take hold of them? So these Proverbs and this wisdom that Solomon gave us is for us to be able to walk in a righteous path. For us to be able to understand how to live and how to survive in these streets. These Proverbs never get played out. They are relevant today if you pay attention to them. Let us go.
Verse 7.
Verse 7.
The fear of Yahweh is the beginning of knowledge, But the foolish despise wisdom and discipline.
The fear of Yahweh is the beginning of your learning. So learn to fear Yahweh.
Right.
Because when you learn to fear Yahweh, that's the beginning of your real learning.
Right.
You see, going to school, 2 + 2 is 4. Yeah, that's learning on one level. But learning about life, you can't replace that. That's the fear of Yahweh. And once you start to learn about life, that's going to take you, once you start learning this Torah, that's going to take you further than anything. Let us go.
Hear, my son, the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the teaching of thy mother, for there shall be a chaplet of grace upon thy head, and chains about thy neck.
It's going to be like jewelry. So when your parents is giving you instructions, don't let it go in one ear and go out the other.
That's right.
Understand what they're trying to tell you. Don't say, man, y'all just getting old. You don't understand what I'm dealing with. You think that your parents haven't gone through some of the same things that you've been through? You think that the world was just created yesterday? The world been here spinning for millennia. And humans been living on it, going through the same stuff. That's why the Proverbs that were written 3,000 years ago are still relevant today. Think about it. Said, there's nothing new underneath the sun. What has been has already been done.
Right.
Let us go.
My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. If they say, come with us, let us lie in wait for blood. Let us lurk for the innocent without cause. Let us swallow them up alive as the grave and whole as those that go down to the pit. We shall find all precious substance. We shall fill our houses with spoil. Casting thy lot among us, let us all have one purse. My son, walk not thou in the way with them. Restrain thy foot from their path.
Your man come up with the master scheme. I'm telling you, son. They got about 600,000 in the safe. This is easy money. Easy money, I'm telling you. All we got to do, go up in there, we put some pressure on them, and they're going to give it up. This is things that you hear in the hood. When you live in the hood, this is people actually sit down all day, and they plot evil. They watch you come in and out. They watch what people do. They got people that actually study and plot for evil. Right? So he come to you with the master plan, and you go, yeah. He said, all you got to do is you bring your father's car, and you just drive us there. We're going to run up in there. We're going to get this money, and then we out. So you say, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to drive my father's car. I'm going to park around the corner. They're going to run up in there. But the way they made it sound so easy, it didn't go that easy. Some people got murdered. But they ran out. And they got in your father's car. And they got away. But New York City got 1 million cameras. You didn't know that there were cameras, hidden cameras in that house. And when they came and they looked at the tape, they said, oh, okay, we know who that is. And let's see where they went. And they trace your father's car. And then they come to your house. And although you didn't go in there and you didn't pull that trigger, guess what you are? Accomplice and accessory to the crime. Now you got some co-defendants. You know what a co-defendant is? I'm giving y'all the real. You know why? Because this is the world we living in. So now you got co-defendants. So now you can't go in there and say, well, you know, I didn't go into the house because, you know, so I was just waiting outside. I didn't know what they was doing. Because then you label a snitch. So now you got to deal with that end, and you got to deal with what you did. But from the beginning, if you didn't agree to the evil and waiting in line and wait for your neighbor's blood, you will never have been in that situation. This is how people get into trouble. This is how young men, young women, you can't even say just young men now, and young women get into trouble. This is the reality that we live in. This is the world that we live in. This is the neighborhoods that we live in. Always listen to discretion. Always, listen, it's a figure of speech. Cross the street when you see danger. It doesn't make you a chump. It makes you smart.
Right.
These are the type of teachings that we need in order for us to grow. Let us go.
16. For their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed blood. For in vain the net is spread in the eyes of any bird. And these lie in wait for their own blood. They lurk for their own lives.
They lurk for their own lives. So you think you spreading a net for the bird, right? The net is to catch the bird. You trying to catch the bird slipping, right? But in reality, you setting the net up for yourself.
Right.
Because you go in and do something, and you figure it was easy pickings, and there was somebody in there with a gun, and then you lost your life. Because people know where there's a lot of money, you're going to need something there to protect it. So these are things that we have to understand and we have to know. These are things that we're going to be presented with.
Right.
There's nothing new underneath the sun. If you hang around a circle or a certain kind of people, that's what you are. Another saying my grandmother used to tell me, dime con quién andas y te digo quién tú eres. Know what that means? Dime con quién andas y te digo quién tú eres. You tell me who you hang with, and I'll tell you who you are. You tell me that. So from your company, how they act, they come in your backyard, and all you hear is MF, N, MF. So that's what you do. When you come around me, you act like the son that I love so much and do no wrong. But when you out in them streets, you do the same thing, boy. That they say, hey, birds of a feather do what?
Flock together.
They flock together. So these are things that we have to understand, and these are things that we have to know. Let us go.
So are the ways of everyone that is greedy of gain. It taketh away the life of the owners thereof.
You see? All of those who are greedy for gain, they take away the life of the owners thereof. I mean, innocent people lose their lives. You don't want to have a notch like that underneath your belt. You don't want to have to murder someone innocently because of something that you did or some master plan that you came up with. You know the way that you get money? You go to school, you get degrees, you work. It says by the sweat of your brow is how you're going to earn.
Right.
So put that in your heads from young. Stop being lazy. Stop playing video games all day. Go get you some of youth job. You like money? Go work for it.
That's right.
Go pack some bags. You know you can still pack bags, right? Go do something instead of thinking of a master plan. Because ain't nothing but land inside my hand. Dig into my pocket, all my money spent. I dig deeper, still coming up with lint. But guess what? For you not to come up with lint anymore, go do some work. No such thing, oh, I'm too young to. Problem is that we have a mentality that a lot of our children have a mentality of entitlement. I'm supposed to get this. You're not supposed to get. Only thing your parents have to do for you is they have to put some clothes on you, and they don't have to be $200 jeans. It doesn't have to be $300 sneakers, and it don't have to be a $100 shirt. They just have to clothe you. They have to give you a place to rest, right? And some food. And when you start getting too old, they might cut you off from the clothing because you're old enough to go out there and do what you got to do. And gradually, they start cutting you off from certain things. And you got to bring in some money in the house. Never get used to working a job and not bringing something home and say, here you go, Abba. Here you go, Ima. Even if it's $25. Bring something in. I always say when I was 7 or 8 years old, I used to have to cut grass with a machete. Not no lawnmower. I had to go out there with a machete and a cut stick and cut the grass in the backyard. I had to go pick peas off the trees, almonds off the tree. I had to go get corn. You actually had to do real work. Yes. A machete. A machete is just a real big knife. That's the best way I could describe it. That's used to cut branches and to cut grass. All right? Yeah. Let us go.
Verse 20. Wisdom crieth aloud in the street. She uttereth her voice in the broad places. She calleth at the head of the noisy streets, at the entrances of the gates. In the city she uttereth her words. How long, ye thoughtless, will you love thoughtlessness? And how long will scorners delight them in scorning?
Wisdom is at every corner, calling out. But you have to be willing to listen to her. You see, wisdom is described in a feminine aspect because man is supposed to attach itself to wisdom. Right? And wisdom is what guides us. So once we get wisdom, wisdom is going to bring us to understanding of how we're supposed to live life. Y'all still working it out. You're still working out certain things in your mind. You don't know certain things. You don't quite understand why your parents are telling you certain things, but you have to trust that they have your best interest in mind. So when they're telling you to do certain things, you have to understand that when they're telling you, get off the video game and go read a book. You know why? Because in reading and understanding, there is your key to success. If you're lazy-minded, you will never get anywhere.
That's right. You
have to be able to do the things that are necessary for you to do in order to progress in life. If you don't do that, you're going to have a regular Walgreens job, and you think you could survive on a Walgreens job in New York City? Y'all love New York City too much, so you're not going to survive in New York City with a Walgreens job. You could attain anything that you want. All you have to do is put your mind to it. You could be the first NBA player, Israelite NBA player. Never tell no one, never let anyone tell you that you can't do it. You know why? Because there's always a first for anything. Said, man, but they're not going to accept me because I have to keep the Shabbat. And who said that? You can make the way. You could pave the way. You could be that first one that you're so great. Put it like this, Zion Williamson. You think if he said, well, you know, I'm not working, I'm not playing basketball on the Sabbath, with the skills that he got, you think somebody still won't take a chance on him? Oh, maybe the great teams might pass him by, but the worst team going to be like, we could deal with that contract. You don't want to play on the Sabbath? Okay. And he go in there and the Most High makes him greater than everybody. There is a way. Where there is a will, there's a way. Because the Most High Yah will make the way. That's how it goes. Yah always makes the way for us. All the time. Let us go. 23.
Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you. Because I have called and ye refused. I have stretched out my hand and no man attended. But ye have set at naught all my counsel, and with none of my reproof.
Wisdom says she stretched out her hand, but no man will take hold of her. Think about that. Said, look, I'm here. Attain me. Grab me. But you don't want to do that. You won't read a book. You won't pick up the Torah, which is the key to your life. Read a chapter a day. Read a proverb a day.
Right.
And understand what you're reading. Don't let those words just go past you. You don't understand what a word means. When we were younger, you know what we did when we didn't understand a word? Dictionary. We looked in the dictionary. Y'all got Google. Yes. If you don't know how to sound out a word?
I mean, like, if you I did not know how to say it.
You sound it out, yes. But then if you don't know the meaning of a word, then what you supposed to do? Dictionary, there you go. But now you guys have Google, right? You could Google a word and it will give you the answer. Am I right or wrong? What's your question? You had your hand up. You don't know? Okay. I don't mind that because that means they're listening. She's not letting nothing slip by her, so she can raise her hand anytime. I enjoy that. Let us go.
Verse 26. I also in your calamity will laugh. I will mock when your dread cometh. When your dread cometh as a storm, and your calamity cometh on as a whirlwind. when trouble and distress come upon you.
Wisdom says she will laugh
Right.
when your calamity come upon you. You know why? Because you refuse to listen.
That's right.
So listen to what your parents say. Read some books. Put something in that head
That's right.
in order to keep you grounded. In order to keep you grounded, you need to read. Read is the key to success. Reading is the key to success. You know what they used to say about us? They used to say, if you want to hide anything from a black person, put it in a book. And because we don't read, we can't find out the great things that's out there for us in life. You could become doctors and lawyers, engineers. All you have to do is read. So you put in the time when you're young, right? When you have the strength, before the evil days come upon you. You know what the evil days are? It doesn't mean that you're going to be evil. The evil days mean that sickness is coming upon you. You got to go to 15 doctor's visits in a week. You got to do all this stuff because now you older and you got to stay in the doctor. You got to stay in the doctor. So while you have strength and you don't have any problems with you, read. While your mind is supple and could absorb all this stuff, read so that you could attain wisdom, get the knowledge and the understanding, and be able to become something great in life. Mm-hmm. That's what this life is about. Not what everything else is a smoke screen. Right? Yes.
You can receive wisdom and then give out wisdom to other people.
There you go. It said, buy wisdom and sell it not. That's another saying. It says, buy it, but then sell it not. So when we have brothers like Moray Arania who come out and give his services and teaching us something that going to cost us thousands of dollars, and he teaches something for a minimal price, that's a blessing because he's passing down a skill. He's passing down a skill that's really worth much more than what he's given it for, right? So these are the things that we look at, and that's how we build and we help each other, right? But if you want to become a doctor, all you have to do is read. Now think about it. Doctors make 6 figures. Depending on what type of doctor you are, you make 7 figures. All you have to do is read. So now if you know what 7 figures is? When I say 7 figures, what do I mean? Millions, right? When I say 6 figures, hundreds of thousands, right? So think about, if all you got to do to reach that is read, I would start reading from now, from when I was 7. Everything about being a doctor. Everything being about whatever. And when I don't understand a word, I'm going to look it up. Yes.
I want you to read this book called, it's a book about how to start a business.
How to start a business? Already?
Yeah, I want to read it, but
Your emo won't let you read it?
no, not because she won't let me, because when I went to the library, it cost money.
Oh, you couldn't just take the book out?
I couldn't just take it because they didn't have it in the library.
Okay. So wait till they have it in the library, or maybe your emo could make that investment for you. All right? Let us go.
Verse 28. Then will they call me, but I will not answer. They will seek me earnestly, but they shall not find me.
They should not find me. Don't call wisdom. Don't reach out to wisdom when it's too late. When you sitting in the clink, you in the box, and now you calling out to wisdom. Yeah, y'all might give you a second chance, but at that point, it's too late.
Right.
When you had the understanding, then at that point, you should have been reaching out when wisdom was reaching out to you. Let us go.
But that they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of Yahweh. They were none of my counsel. They despised all my reproof. Therefore shall they eat of the fruit of their own way and be filled with their own devices.
Listen, you reap, right? What you sow.
That's right.
So if you sowed evil and wrong, then that's what you're going to reap out of life.
That's right.
So you have to pay attention to what's being brought forth. Let us go.
For the waywardness of the thoughtless shall slay them, and the confidence of fools shall destroy them. But whoso hearkeneth unto me shall dwell securely, and shall be quiet without fear of evil.
You see, the waywardness of the thoughtless shall slay them. Your own evil ways is going to slay you.
That's right.
And it says, and the confidence of fools shall destroy them. When you confidence in wicked things and in wicked ways, right? Those things will destroy you. It says, but whoso hearkeneth unto me shall dwell securely and shall be quiet without fear of evil. Let us go.
Chapter 2. My son, if thou wilt receive my words, and lay up my commandments with thee, so that thou make thy ear attentive to wisdom, and thy heart incline to discernment, yea, if thou call for understanding and lift up thy voice for discernment, if thou seek her as silver, and search for her as for hid treasures, then shalt thou understand the fear of Yahweh, and find the knowledge of Yah.
You should find the knowledge of Yah. So your foundation is what? Torah, right? Your foundation is Torah, and that's where you seek understanding of Yah in the Torah. Once you find that and you have a firm foundation, right, then you go seeking out all the other things that you need to make yourself a better person. But your foundation is Torah. Let us go.
For Yahweh giveth wisdom, out of his mouth cometh knowledge and discernment. He layeth up sound wisdom for the upright. He is the shield to them that walk in integrity.
You hear that? So for Yahweh giveth wisdom, out of his mouth cometh knowledge and discernment. He layeth up the wisdom for the upright. He is a shield to them that walk in integrity. So these are things that we all have to do. You know what integrity is? You don't find yourself in vile situations. You carry yourself upright. That's integrity as a man, as a woman. You carry yourself in a manner that is pleasing before the Most High God and before men. Let us go.
That he may guard the paths of justice and preserve the way of his godly ones. Then shalt thou understand righteousness and justice and equity, yea, every good path.
It says that he may guard the paths of justice, preserve the way of his godly ones. Then shalt thou understand righteousness and justice, equity, yea, every good path. It's important for us. It's important for us to understand these things. Let us go. Let's go to the next one.
For wisdom shall enter into thy heart, and knowledge shall be pleasant unto thy soul. Discretion shall watch over thee, and discernment shall guard thee, to deliver thee from the way of evil, from the men that speak froward
Once again,
things.
it reiterates these things. It says, knowledge shall be pleasant unto thy soul. Discretion shall watch over thee. Discernment shall guard thee. Not ego, but discretion. Because ego makes you say, there's 20 guys there. I'm tough. I'm going to walk through them. You really have to take that route. You've seen them 2 blocks away. Now, when you're young, your pride, because you can lift up the whole rack, you say, I could destroy at least 5 of them by myself. That's your ego talking. But discretion and discernment is going to teach you, cross the street, man.
Right.
They're not even noticing me. I'm going to cross the street. I'm going to walk across the street. And the Most High put a spirit on them not to even bother you. And you walk right past them.
Right.
But your ego is that part of you that you have to forsake. Because your ego tells you, I'm going to walk right through them. I don't care. And you call that being brave or whatever. But that in all reality is not a wise thing to do. But discernment and discretion tells you, man, cross the street. Ain't nothing soft about that. It said a wise man runs to fight another day.
That's right.
When you outnumbered, it says, strive not with one that is mightier than thou. So if it says strive not with one that's mightier than thou, how you going to strive with 20? They're definitely going to be mightier than just you. These are the things that wisdom teaches us. Let us go.
13. Who leave the paths of uprightness to walk in the ways of darkness, who rejoice to do evil and delight in the frowardness of evil, who are crooked in their ways and perverse in their paths, to deliver thee from the strange woman, even from the alien woman that maketh smooth her words.
That alien woman that maketh smooth her words. Who is this alien woman? Right? Because an alien means someone that's strange to a place, to someone, or to something, right? Let us go.
That forsaketh the Lord of her youth.
That what?
That forsaketh the Lord of her youth.
You got a lot of those out here. Listen, you have a lot of those women out here. What does it mean that she forsaketh the Lord? It says the Lord?
Little Lord.
The Lord of her youth.
Listen to her parents.
The Lord of her youth is her husband. She forsook the Lord of her youth. She was married, right? And she just broke away. She said, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And I live my life however. I live it in another town. I live it down yonder. And I live loose and I do what I want to do. Let us go.
And forgetteth the covenant of her God.
And forget of what?
The covenant of her God.
The covenant of her God is that marriage promise and vow that she made with that man. And then it goes on and it says what?
For her house sinketh down unto death, and her paths unto the shades. None that go unto her return, neither do they attain unto the paths of life.
It's not that they don't come out of the house. That's not what it means. You go in and out of the house.
Right.
But what it's saying is that the things that men and women do, right? Because she's not divorced. She don't have no paperwork to say that she's divorced. You going into someone's wife. You just attain to the path of death. So, as Israelites and children, y'all could put on earmuffs right now because I'm about ready to say something that y'all shouldn't listen to. Come on, children, put on earmuffs. That one night stuff, that ain't for us. Meeting some women and then you just, and that's what, and then you end up somewhere doing some activities, that's not for us. Because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're getting into. You could be going into someone's wife that never got no proper paperwork, that never divorced the way that she was supposed to divorce. She wasn't written a bill of divorce. She just walked away from her relationship. Those are things that we really have to think about. Say a house, her house, it's a path to death. That means you marked. Because that is adultery. Let us go.
That thou mayest walk in the way of good men, and keep the paths of the righteous. For the upright shall dwell in the land, and the wholehearted shall remain in it.
The wholehearted the perfect shall remain in it. Let's go.
But the wicked shall be cut off from the land, and the faithless shall be plucked up out of it.
And the faithless shall be plucked up out of it, out of the land. So you want to be counted with the righteous. You want to be counted with those that do right. You don't want to be counted with the wicked. You don't want to be counted with the wicked. How we looking?
3 is long.
Don't got enough time.
3 is long.
It is. I'm going to end it right there.
We can do the prayers.
I'm not going to burn the people.
Right.
Put that over there. Thank you the Most High Yah for life, food, clothing, and shelter. I hope that the words that are spoken, and I like speaking to the children because they're the future. And sometimes we want to baby them, but you have to talk to them real because they're dealing with real things. They hear far more worse in school. We send them to public schools, and they talking about anything and everything. And they have to be ready to understand this Torah, and you have to put it in a way that they could understand it. So I'm thankful to this great King for this day. I think we got more time enough time than just for prayers. I think we might need to sing a couple of songs. A question of that. Where's Ben at?
Ben right here.
With that, I call up my brother, Rabbi Chief Benyamin, to do a quick question and answer. Hallelujah.
Right. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Giving praise and honor to Yehovah, our God, the King of the universe, and thanking Him for our lives, thanking for strength and good health, and allowing us to be here this day to worship before Him. And this time, if anybody has any questions that they would like, that they'd like us to answer, they may ask them, and we'll do our best to answer them, and praying that the wisdom of the Most High God will be with us to give us the proper answer. Yeah. Shalom.
So if the Ten Commandments say to honor your father and mother, and it says to keep the Shabbat and holy, if you're following necessary not to keep the Shabbat holy.
So for those that in the Ten Commandments, well, the commandments teach us, the commandments of God teach us that we have to keep the Sabbath day holy, which is what we're doing here in this place and in various places like this. And the other question, well, the other point was raised that along with that, we're commanded to honor our father and our mother. And, you know, we live in a world where you may have children that follow Torah and the parents don't follow Torah. So the question is, how does a child, you know, deal with that type of situation where they have to honor God and honor the Sabbath day while still trying to balance honoring father and mother? And there wouldn't be one answer to that because everybody's situation is different. So with that question, it is a case-by-case situation because, once again, everybody's situation or how they deal with their parents may be different. Who that child may be able to contact to talk to their parents may be different from another person. So that's where wisdom, like we're, you know, going into the Proverbs now, come into play. A lot of wisdom has to go into that situation, but that, once again, that's a case by case. But ultimately, the goal is to keep the Sabbath day holy. That is the ultimate goal for that child, to make sure that they can keep the Sabbath day holy comfortably. The method of doing that would be different based on the scenario. So it may, like I said, you know, may take that child reaches somebody that could talk to the parents for them. If that's possible, it may not. But once again, everybody's situation is different. But once again, the goal for that child is to ultimately get their parents to understand that they have to keep the Sabbath, that they holy. So whether they get somebody to talk to the parent for them or whether they're able to talk to the parent themselves, the goal is ultimately to make sure that they honor God. Because even though God commands us to honor our parents, God wants us to honor Him more than our parents. But there's just a method on how we do it without dishonoring our parents in the process. So if you would like us to talk to Maury Arania, because you're having an issue with keeping the Sabbath day, he's telling you not to, you could talk to us on the side and we'll work it out for you.
Wow.
So you can talk to your brother because they're having a Shabbat issue. Hand over here. There's a question still over here. Shabbat Shalom. We're in 1 Kings, because the cherub, okay, for the building of the temple, right? Okay, so the cherubim, in terms of the construction, and it goes back to when we read about the construction of the Ark of the Covenant in Exodus. Those are just figures, which we don't know exactly what their faces looked like today, but they were figures of beings. Today, you know, people may say angelic beings, but they're just figures of beings, and we know they definitely had wings. So the best description of them would be in Ezekiel. If you read from chapters 1 through 10, they may give you, that would give you the best description, because they also mention the cherubim, you know, within those chapters. It will give you the best description of them, but that doesn't mean that that's the description of the ones that were on the ark or the ones that were built in the house that Solomon built. But we know that those are just beings that represented something back at that time that had wings, and they were on the Ark of the Covenant, or the cover of the Ark of the Covenant, and they were also placed within the house that Solomon built. And when you read in Ezekiel, that was a vision that God gave to Ezekiel, and you would see a description, a clearer description of the cherubim in the visions that God gave to Ezekiel. There's a question online. Question from online is it a commandment for men or women to have their head covered, or is it just a cultural preference? The answer would be it's a cultural preference. I should be direct because that was off of online. Yeah, so even like here in the various places, you'll see people have their head covered, some people don't. It's a preference. So it's not something that's commanded that it should be done one way or the other. Yeah. Since you're doing better than them.
Okay, it says, what do I say to my boss when she asks, what religion are you, when I request Shabbat law? What religion do I tell her?
So we don't have a religion. You know, the standard answer that we give, that's an in-house answer. So it's easy for us to say like that. So we have, you know, we have a way of life. So also questions like that may be on a case-by-case basis depending on how the person is able to deal with their employer. But there is no name for, well, we don't have a religion and there's no name for what we do. So the standard answer, the best way to go about it would be to say, you know, you follow Torah. Like I said, it's a case-by-case, so if it's a situation of just getting days off, then usually the letters that are given like from here or various congregations will frame it better that the employee will be able to understand it. But once again, there's no standard name for what we do. Like saying we're Israelites is not describing what we do. It just describes who we are, you know, by nationality. So once again, dealing with the employer, that's sort of a case by case, but there is no standard name for what we do. So in that situation, it's best to, it may require explaining exactly what we do. So if it comes to like specifically getting days off, like the Sabbath day, then that's explaining like, well, I follow Torah or follow the commandments and what they would know as the Bible. And one of them includes the seventh day being the Sabbath day, not being able to go to work. So it just may require more explanation that way. But if they were to give a title or name to their employer and the employer had just happened to look it up, the employer wouldn't find it. So it's better to deal with just explaining more than just trying to give a quick answer and then somebody does the research, don't find it, and come back and say, well, you're lying to me. So that just, it might be better to just give an explanation of what they do and why they do it.
All right. This question is from Daffy J. How did you suggest to celebrate the holy days with family that doesn't? That's that.
These are a lot of case by case.
How do you suggest to celebrate the holy days with family that don't? But I guess you meant to put that down.
Right. So I'm assuming, and that's what I'm saying, it's case by case, but I'm assuming that the individual or individuals want to keep the holy days, and they're living in a household where the family does not. That's just one assumption. The other assumption is that they do it in their household, and they may have family coming over during that time. So one of the two. And that also, well, the latter case. If that's your house, that's your house. If people are coming during the season,
They got to do as you do.
you have to explain to them that this is what that you're doing during this time. Even the Sabbath day, you explain it to them that this is what you're doing at this time, and that's it. Of course, that's the harsh answer, that's the direct answer. But if that's your house, then you have the right to speak like that. Now, in dealing with the other question that came, if that's your parents coming over, you may not want to answer like that, but you still want to say, or get to the point of this is what you do, this is your house, and ask them to respect that. Now, if it's the other case where you're living amongst family that doesn't do it, then that's where a situation where you do the best that you can living in other people's houses, and that's the time that you want to also connect with other people that live this way of life, that keep these holy days, and you may, if possible, depending on your age, be able to just spend time with other people that are keeping holy days, keeping the Sabbath day, and things like that.
All right. This one is from Yair Emet. Shalom. If a couple is married in Christianity and decides to divorce, is a ketubah get required still?
For anybody, and it doesn't matter whether it's Christianity or not, anybody that's married, and if they come into this way of life, it's imperative that if there's a divorce, that it is done in writing, because that will protect both parties, especially the wife that's being divorced. So regardless of the way of life, religion, or anything that people are following, once they come into this way of life, or even one of them comes into this way of life, it's imperative that if there's going to be a divorce, that is done in writing, as it is specified in Torah, in order to protect both parties and any other party that may be involved afterwards.
There's another question online that says, is Purim an Israelite holy day? If so, how should we go about observing it?
Purim is not a holy day. It's a day that was instituted by Israelites in a response to a situation that took place. And I believe that Chief Uzziel is going to do the book of Exodus next week, next Shabbat. But Purim is this, what we would call Wednesday evening, going to Thursday evening, because it's going to be Purim is the 14th day of the 12th month. So it's not a holy day. It's not a day that was ordained by God for the children of Israel to keep. It was a day that was instituted by Israelites in response to a situation that happened that we read about in the book of Esther as a day of memorial for the salvation that took place for the children of Israel. So it's commemorated based on, it's just like how countries have like an Independence Day because of chances are because of a struggle that they went through to get their independence, so they honor or acknowledge their day of independence. Purim is sort of like that for the nation of Israel. It's a date to honor or remember salvation from an incident that was taking place, against us. On when? Okay, so that's not a day ordained by God. But she also said that her birthday's in 3 days. Yeah. So she's giving us the option to honor her birthday or Purim this week.
He goes to kids. Go ahead. Which one?
Is it required by law for men and women to have their heads covered, or is...
He asked that already.
Okay.
Everything is said besides that. Anything that comes at the bottom, then you ask that.
Oh, he's going to do that. Yes. I'll let him take the backlash for that. Oh, did the question say how do we observe Purim? I think that was part of that question as well. Okay. So Purim is, once again, a day to commemorate what took place. So there's various, no, I shouldn't say there's various ways. There is no standard way on how Purim is kept. Based on what we read, it's a date of remembrance. And that's just basically it. So there's no, being that, of course, it's not a holy day, it's not a mandated day by God, there is no standard way on how Purim is kept. It's just a date of observance. You'll find various people doing various things, but based on the book of Esther, they just say it's a date of remembrance for what happened, and not really gifts, that's the wrong translation, but, say that again? Right. It's a day of charity.
I take charity on that day. But I know a lot of people think, and they get it from the European tradition, and they take it as if this day is like a Israelite Halloween and running around in costumes and stuff like that. That's not what our forefathers was doing. This was a time, you got to understand the season, and that we were being persecuted. There was going to be a genocide of Israelites in this empire, and they fought and they put their faith in the Most High God in order to stay alive. So it wasn't something that we went around like, you know, running around in costumes and costumes and things of this nature. That's not what we did. I know a lot of people sometimes, they feel the way when I teach about Purim, but I'm only teaching you what's in the book. I can't teach you what's between the lines because ain't nothing but white space, right? So I'm teaching you what's in the Tanakh, what it says. I'm not adding to the word. I'm not diminishing from it. But it's so that we could get understanding and we don't get caught up in trivialism and things that people do when it's not really our tradition. It said that they give gifts one to another, right? And like my brother says, more so like charity, but we celebrate in that and we remember the time. But to run around in costumes and do all types of stuff like that, that's not what Israelites did at that time.
So that came about from primarily Jewish people in Italy. They adopted the custom of wearing costumes during Purim. I give people 5 seconds to figure out why. Carnival. That's what takes place during this season. And Carnival, as we know it today, started in Italy. I'm talking about the way we know it today. Carnival existed before that. But the way that we know it today in terms of parades, costumes, and everything like that started in Italy. So the Jewish people that were in Italy, once again, this is Carnival time because last week was Carnival, and then the Ash Wednesday and all that stuff started, you know, after this. But the Carnival was the Tuesday. So once again, Carnival would always be during the time of Carnival. Carnival would always be Purim would always be during the time of Carnival. So what was done is that because there was a lot of merrymaking in Italy, Jewish people felt not attached to what everybody was doing, and they adopted the customs of Carnival into Purim so that they wouldn't be left out during this time. That's one part of the story. Another part of the story is that also during Carnival time in Italy, of course, you know, as we know, when you read about what Jewish people were going throughout various places in Europe, Jewish people were basically persecuted in various countries in Europe. Part of the Carnival celebration was for those that were taking part of Carnival to march Jewish people down their parade route in costumes and throw stones at them. And that also was a way of how they adopted wearing the costumes. But of course, they're not getting stones thrown at them anymore, but they just turned what was a bad thing into what they perceived as a good thing. So both linked up together on how Jewish people wear costumes during Carnival. Say it again? No, during Carnival, the Jewish people were persecuted. They were marched down during the parade routes. They were forced to wear costumes, and stones were thrown at them on the parade route. Yeah, during the Carnival season. But the costumes got adopted at the Purim as a way to, on one hand, get out of that mind frame of being persecuted, and also being a part of what was happening at that time on the merrymaking side. So it was like an amalgamation of getting rid of the bad, replacing it with the good. And then that transferred to other Jewish people in the various parts of Europe of just wearing costumes during Purim, then over to Jewish people in America wearing costumes during Purim.
There's another question online that says, if men cannot wear women's pants and women cannot wear priest robes, why do Israelites saying Torah prohibits pants for women?
Start from the beginning.
If men cannot wear women's pants and women cannot wear priest robes, why do Israelites think Torah prohibits pants from women?
So the prohibition is actually that men are not, let me just read it exactly. Because pants is not in the, So Deuteronomy 22, verse 5. A woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for whosoever doeth these things is an abomination unto Jehovah thy God. So, based on the command, there are no such thing, there's not supposed to be a such thing as a unisex garment. So, articles of clothing that women wear, men are not supposed to be wearing. Articles of clothing that men wear, women are not supposed to be wearing. Based on what we read, and they, the question mentioned priests. Based on the articles of clothing, or one of the articles of clothing that the priest wore, which happened to be pants, would dictate to us that pants are a male garment, and therefore women wouldn't be able to wear that garment because it's a male garment. And anybody else that wore pants, or miknasim as the word in Hebrew, was a male, and that's why we would say that women cannot wear pants, because pants is a male garment. So thanking everybody for their attention, their time, and beyond that, thanking the Most High God for allowing us to be alive here this day, and hoping that He will continue to grant us with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, so that we continue to live our lives before Him. And with that, saying Shabbat Shalom to Kim.
Blessed be Yehovah our King. We thank the Creator of heaven and earth for all things and everything. We thank the Most High God for this day. And we're grateful to the Creator for all things and everything. It's a thing that when we sitting in services, right, and someone is up here speaking, right, and someone is up here teaching, if you're not going to be fully focused on what the teacher is saying or what the speaker is saying, then you should step out the room. It's a disrespect to a teacher when a teacher is up here saying something and then you saying something that's not even coinciding with what the teacher is saying, because you're somewhere else, really. So it's a disrespect. So you could just excuse yourself, go to the side, do what you have to do, and then you come back in after you take care of what you're doing. But if you You can't answer calls in the middle of teachings. You can't do things like that. You can't be listening to something other than what's going on up here, because it's a disrespect to the teacher and it's a disrespect to the people that are listening, because now the attention is being focused to you. So it's just decorum and it's respect. Amen? Amen. Hallelujah. Let us close out now with the blessing that the Most High God gave unto Moshe to give unto Aharon and his sons to bless the children of Yisrael. Hoping and praying that on the conclusion of this day, that the Most High God would even bless us all. Hallelujah. Wa daber Yahovah el Moshe lemor, daber el Aharon ve el Benah lemor, ko tavarku et bnei Yisrael lamor lahem. And Yahovah spoke unto Moshe, saying, speak unto Aharon and unto his son, saying, on this wise he shall bless the children of Yisrael. You shall say unto them, Yivarekah Yahovah Yishmerekah, Ya'ir Yahovah Panawalekah Wikunekah, Yisai Yahovah Panawalekah Yasem Lekah Shalom. May Yahovah bless thee and keep thee. May Yahovah make his face to shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. May Yahovah lift up his countenance upon thee, and may he grant thee peace. Hallelujah. 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 Bekwacho. Hallelujah, betapumako. Hallelujah, emini weuka. Hallelujah, betel malechama. Hallelujah, betel malecherua. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Shabbat Shalom Aleichem. Please be seated for announcements. So to everyone, anyone that would like to donate, you can make your donations out to D.C.B, 382 Hamilton Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11231. That's D.C.B, 382 Hamilton Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. The zip code is 11231. For everyone that would like to donate online, you could go to www.baitdcb.org. On the donation, on the toolbar, you're going to see where it says donations. You press on that, and you could donate via MasterCard. See. Okay. The red Cosquia, your check, handed it to the treasurer. And to, yes, you could also go to PayPal, info@baitdcb.org, or, what did I say, the Cash App? The Cash App is, the number is 347-622-9090. It's the same number that I say all the time. 347. I think what he did, $ bait DCB. But if you, dial the number, best to put the number in. It's the DCB number. 347-622-9090. That's for Cash App. Yeah, you see it? Did it pop up? I think you got to store the number, right? Any announcements? Announcements? Any birthdays? Don't forget to... Is your birthday?
No.
Whose birthday? In 40 days?
14.
Your birthday is in 14 days. So when come back when your birthday is here. Huh? Yours is in 3 days? Ooh, mommy got to spend a lot of money in the month of March. No, March and April? March. Okay. So you want to get it over with now? They not going to be back? You want to get it over, you want to get yours over with now. All right. Yom Hulede Sameach. 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 I guess that's why she had her little tiara on, and she. You got to come back in 14 days, man. You heard me? Yeah, I'll come back in 2 weeks, so we could do the same for you. Oh, so you could dance? Come on, let's go. You might not be here next week. Yom Hulede Sameach. 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 Yeah. To the people on the Uzziel Lewi channel, you could donate via the super chat. Is open. The super chat is open on the Uzziel Lewi channel. Amen? Elio, you crazy, son. Okay. That's it. Donations and obligations for... Oh, the tickets for the Night of Elegance. This is the prices, right? Night of Elegance. This is what's going down for Night of Elegance. $60 per ticket. Per ticket. But if you buy it as a couple, then you get it $50, you know, each ticket. But if you buy it as a single ticket, it's $60. All right. Food will come with a ticket and one drink. Don't expect Hennessy with that food. You might get a sparkling water, or you might get a soda. All right? We're not spending all our money on that. Kane. Usually people bring you see a person or two, like this sister comes from Chicago with her daughter every year, and she brings her daughter. It's amongst us, you know, so if you got to bring we don't want it with it. If you got a babysitter, get your babysitter, you know, but if you know you can have a babysitter, then we don't discriminate against our children. Layla, she already volunteering you, so she pointing at you, so. Right. Okay. We'll put you the head of that committee, the babysitting committee. Okay? So, any other announcements? No more announcements? Donations and obligations for the nation. See Chief Elquana.
Oh, there's one.
Hold on, another announcement.
The Pesach. When we gonna be at
Pesach. Oh, Pesach. The night of Pesach, the first night, we're going to be at Restoration Plaza. All right, so that we could set up the tables and we can have more space. No, it's going to be in the first floor, not in the basement. It's going to be on the first floor, the room on the first floor. We'll be here. The day services is going to be here. All right? The day services are going to be here. So that's for everyone. Came. Patches are being ordered, right? The patches for the Unity Shabbat. For the patches? Yes, just let me know. Specify it. Let me know so that I'll let them know what it's for. All right? Or make a note of it. Make a note of it like this is for the patches, so that when I transfer the money, he knows that you already paid for the patches. All right? You get that? You understand what I said with that, right? Donations and obligations.